Hey there and happy Friday the 13th, everybody. Before we talk about Jason X, I want to highlight that later today, my Why We Horror podcast is going to cover the original Friday the 13th. So stay tuned for that at around 1 p.m. But until then, we have a review for Jason X. And this is really the last breath, or lack thereof, of creativity in the Friday the 13th franchise. This is a franchise flailing as we get towards its end point. And I understand why they supposedly went the route of Jason in space, but for a franchise that's about scrappy filmmaking, this just isn't it. You can't send a character in space and then make it cheap or inexpensive. We'll touch on that in a minute. The lore goes that they sent Jason to space because they didn't know what was going on with with Freddy versus Jason, whether or not it was even gonna happen, because there was some pushback, even though they were both under the same studio for a decade at this point. And so they were like, well, so as to not interfere with continuity with Freddy vs. Jason, let's just put it in the distant future, like 500 years from now, and have Jason go to space. As if the Friday the 13th franchise has ever really been interested in continuity. Even the ones that are tightly knit, 1, 2, 3, and 4, those ones aren't even firmly embedded in their continuity. So that's just kind of crazy to me. But to space they did indeed go, and I think the biggest issue with this movie, shy of Jason, you watch the first or second movie, there is no trajectory that leads you this direction, right? It's just so, excuse the pun, alien of this franchise to do anything like this. Even as they have been, from 6 onwards, they start doing some weird and wacky stuff. The soft meta commentary that happens in, or self-referential humor of Friday the 13th 6, Jason fighting Carrie in 7, going to New York in 8, having the demons of and Necronomicon in 9. Even still, you never see this direction. But like I highlighted before, the beauty of these movies is that they're almost scrappy guerrilla filmmaking, especially those first 5. Eventually they get glossier and money gets thrown at them. But it always looks like the movies work beyond the confines of their budget. None of them look cheap. They look scrappy. They look like filmmakers reaching beyond what their budget is. But none of them look bad. This is the first installment that not only does it not look good, it looks bad, it looks cheap, and this came out a year after Scream 4, yes, or Scream 3. Yes, I know, Scream 3 cost $40 million and this cost $15 million. But the fact that that movie has slick polish and this looks equivalent to a film that would have aired on the Sci-Fi Channel. Further proof of this, 1 year after this film, Sean S. Cunningham, who was the director of the original Friday the 13th and producer of this one, made a sci-fi original film starring Bruce Campbell called Terminal Invasion. Also sci-fi-y, they look the same. That movie has a budget sub $14 million. It has an unreported budget, according to IMDb, of extremely low, with no numeric value attached to it. Yet it looks about as good as this does. The practical effects in this don't look good. Jason's costume, for the first time ever, I think actively looks bad. And his upgrade, that one's a little slicker. And maybe you can apply a little bit of, like, see where the budget went a little bit there. But it also, at the same time, looks like it was made for television of that era. Especially stuff you would have seen on the Sci-Fi Channel. This movie just kind of flounders right from the get-go. The opening credits, you can't even really tell what they're showing you. I watched it twice, and I was trying to figure out what it was. And, like, that's frustrating, right? The movie opens up in present day of, like, 2002 or whatever. In Crystal Lake, and Jason is in captivity, and then there's a scuffle, and he gets cryogenically frozen along with our new final girl, who's actually kind of good in this. I want to say her name is Jenna Duong. I could be wrong on that, though. And then the movie picks back up 500 years later in the year 2455 or something. And now Jason is awakened on this ship, and it's softly alien but not exciting, and it has, like, I don't know, it has the feel of an early Resident Evil movie, except not as good. And I know some people like this for how campy and silly it is, and I think really only what they actually like about this is the scene where they go back to the 1980s. But that scene is like 37 seconds long. And yeah, it's fun and inventive, but the movie is just shockingly dumb. And for that to stand out in the Friday the 13th franchise is kind of saying something. This is probably the worst individual installment of the franchise. However, it is strangely watchable, like much of the rest of the franchise is. Some of the movies in this franchise are really, really bad, and some of them are kind of stupid, but none of them are this vapidly dumb, but trying and reaching to get that, like, Scream-like engagement of like offsetting the tension with a bit of humor and all that stuff. It's trying so hard to be something it's not, and it, as a result, is a weird entry in the Friday the 13th franchise, where after this happens, where do you go from here? I don't see them, like, planet hopping and doing more Jason in space. You can't really go back once you do this. Or if you do, it's a reset, right? And that's exactly what happened. You have Freddy vs. Jason after this, which I will not be covering on my Friday the 13th reviews. So when we come back next Friday the 13th, it will not be for a Freddy vs. Jason review. I'm going to lump that in with more of my Nightmare on Elm Street analysis, because I think it's closer to a Nightmare on Elm Street film than a Friday the 13th one, even though Jason gets all the kills in the film. When we next meet back up, it's going to be for the reset, the 2009 reboot of Friday the 13th. So, yeah, this franchise kind of peters out in the most explosively spectacular way it could by making a movie that 25 years prior, nobody could have ever guessed that this is the trajectory that their franchise was going to ever go. And that's not a compliment. But as I say, I know some people that have, like, a weird reverence for this movie in the same way that people kind of like Batman and Robin. But there's, like, a slickness to Batman and Robin that is admittedly super fun that I just don't think this harbors. What do you guys think of Jason X? The last bit that I'd have to say is not only is Jason just bad looking, what the fuck is with his head? Like, he has this hair stubble all around his head in uneven amounts that can only be described as looking like a poorly shaved scrotum. And I don't know why he looks the way he does. Plus, the hockey mask is the worst one of the entire franchise to this point. I don't think Jason ever looks as good as he did from 7, 8, and 9 ever again with the correctly fitting mask. But it's really sad that Kane Hodder has the most character that he gives Jason, because he's in a lot of what is considered to be the worst movies. I happen to like 7 a decent amount, but he wastes his talent on these movies, and it's a shame that he didn't get to be in one of the better ones. Even Freddy vs. Jason would have been a better showcase of his abilities. But oh well. What'd you think of Jason X? Let me know in the comment area down below, and like I said, stay tuned later today between 1 and 3 o'clock for my deep dive in the original Friday the 13th that I promise you is going to be really fun and funny and a good conversation. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.